Why is this not where I want it? What? I'm streaming. Why isn't it showing me? Yeah, I don't need that. Oh, because I clicked something wrong. Whoa, go back. Duh. I screwed this all up. Hi, this is the Nicole Howard Show. I don't look very good. At all. What's happening? I just did my hair too. It needs another round. Since I last spoke to you guys, it's been a really crazy couple weeks. Yeah, it's been about 2.5 weeks. My dad had surgery on his hip. He's now recovered from that. But my mom fell and broke her shoulder pretty much. Tore her shoulder, tore her rotator cuff. The right cuff has. Oh my gosh, rotator cuff. The rotator cuff has to have surgery. The shoulder has to be repaired. The muscle's all torn. I don't know how she tore the muscle. She fell leaf blowing. While my dad's recovering, my mom decided, I think I'll go and leaf blow at the age of 70 almost. And instead of just doing the yard, she decided to keep going and went into the woods and fell over a root. I don't know, something like that. So now I am taking over 100% horse chores, which I'm telling you right now, I can't physically handle it. And then I got sick this week, and I'm very stressed and tired, and I've just pushed it too hard. Oh, this guy's back. Hi. I forgot to type something. Oh, just ignore that. No, I've had a really crappy week, but thank you. Are you on all the time, or is there a ping that makes you find me, I wonder? I have, so I got to get this going again, but I have been pretty busy with other stuff. And then our other horse, after my horse injured himself this year, came in injured this week with the exact same injury as the first horse has, which he's still technically, my horse, injured. It's the tendons permanently until we have surgery or something. He's not rideable. He can run around and stuff, but he cannot put weight on him. And so his half brother, who is injured now, he's going through the same thing, and it's just all very overwhelming. And again, I'm doing all of it. So I need a break. But there's no one to cover for me. I think my dad's going to start helping me in the mornings at least. Because I'm having to go out to the barn to let them out. Oh my god. My neck is just destroyed. Let them out. Then go back in and then clean stalls. And then take care of them at night. After I've let them in. And then I gotta feed them. And shut the barn down. So it's 3 trips out there. Plus it's that time of year where we give them blankets and stuff. So actually, they don't have blankets on right now. It's actually warm out. Great. It's always nice to hear I look stressed and tired. No one wants to hear you look tired. That just to me is like translation, you look old. Well, I am tired and stressed. And then, the latest and greatest since then that's going on. Oh, there's the whole Jeff Epstein files have been signed and this and that, which, it's so funny too. They're like, we're going to get Trump. And it's like, he signed it. I think if he had something to hide, he would have done everything in his power to not sign that. And then Jasmine Crockett with her little game of holding up her cell phone, reading from it the names of people that have received money from Jeffrey Epstein, which the guy, several of them received money from, was a different one. For instance, the one was a doctor in New Jersey, a neurosurgeon, which he's not happy. Oh, so that's the latest and greatest in politics. And the shutdown's finally over. The shutdown went on for 40 something days. That was going on last time I was on here. That was very stressful for me too, because my work, some of my people that are clients work uh, in Washington. I know I have some people. I don't see some of them, but uh, it's a trickle effect. So I saw for sure my job affected because there was definitely not as much business during that time. And it slowly seems to be picking back up. So you factor in all that stuff going on and then this stuff with the horse. So I'm stressed. I'm a little stressed. God, my neck is really messed up right now. All the way down to the center of my scapula. Uh, yeah. Yeah, there's all kinds of shady stuff with that guy. In any case, there's been then this is the funnest thing. So we have a neighbor who's just a real jerk. That's the best, nicest way to refer to him. That sounds juvenile, but he's a jerk. When we moved here in '98, I was a kid. My parents bought the house next door to him, down on a little lake, and they renovated the house. It was nothing crazy. And we noticed these three German Shepherds. Actually, our contractor called my dad and said, I just had three German Shepherds almost kill me. So, after asking around the lake, other people said, yeah, we know who those are. Those dogs, we can't let our kids out at night because these dogs are so. Now, I'm a German Shepherd fan. I've had two. They were awesome. And I had one that had aggression issues, so I had to be careful with him. But I knew that. I never let him just run wild. I didn't want to ever get the phone call your dog attacked somebody. And um he's just very protective of me. And and then when I wasn't there, suddenly he was like a totally different dog. Uh in any case, so we find out that he just lets these dogs run wild and people were afraid of them. So my dad calls him up and says, your dog's just attacked my contractor. And well, they don't really know property lines and they kind of just think of this whole lake as their yard. And my dad said, well, it's not. And you need to keep your dogs in your yard or we're going to have problems. Well, that turned into a big fight, of course. And I've been here for this. I'm the one who brought the property, cable, all the electricity to this. There was no one on this lake until I moved here. Blah, blah, blah. Well, that's just great. But, when you find a piece of paradise and move there, unless you buy all of it, which the guy that moved in shortly after, before us, but before this neighbor, bought 40 acres for that very reason on the lake, because he had the money to do it and didn't want anyone to buy the land right next to him. Didn't want neighbors. So, in any case, by the time we moved here, 10 houses had sprung up. We bought a house that was in '88 built, and but 10 years later we bought it. My parents bought it, and and then the guy that's a jerk, the jerk neighbor, he'd been here at that point almost 20 years. He put in a turnaround on the road so that people didn't turn around in his driveway because it went past him. It actually used to be a road that went all the way around the lake, but over time, the county let trees fill in, and then a lot was put in. So it's changed. It's a dead end at our place. Our property was the second to last one, and then our neighbor who bought the 40 acres. La la la. All the things you don't really need to know. The point is, so the neighbor who's a jerk was it goes the guy with 40 acres, us, jerk neighbor. And there's an easement in between us and the jerk neighbor, but no house on it. It's just a piece of property that occasionally the people would come and camp, and their kids, well, they ironically ended up being jerks too, because they would be like running chainsaws at 4 in the morning and drinking. One came over and threatened my mom with a baseball bat in the middle of the night. We've had some lovely people on our lake. Everyone else is pretty nice, but it's something about next to our house and then the actual house with this guy. So he has this dog's running wild, I know I'm on a tangent. That's too bad. Um, and they did it again. And my dad called him up and said, I called the police, and they said, you have every right to shoot those dogs if they come and you're protecting your kids. You got two young girls. And so my dad called him up and said, called the police and spoken to him. And if your dogs come on our property again, I'm going to shoot them. Well, that turned into, we had two Newfoundlands, a Pekingese Pomeranian Fox Terrier Poodle mix, Oojaboo. Oojaboo from the movie Ace Ventura Pet Detective. Jinga, a little pug. And that was it. And then some cats. They were indoor cats. If you shoot, I'm going to come over and shoot your dogs. That's what that turned. And my dad said, you're going to come and shoot our little terriers and, you know, little dogs and Newfoundlands, which are the most, they're called gentle giants for a reason. And uh, so then after that, my dad called the police back, and the police went and paid him a visit and said, you are not to do anything to their dogs, and you are not to let your dogs on the property anymore. I've given him told, you know, this is, they're protecting their whatever. And one of the times they got out again, whatever, my mom happened to be out there. She said if it had been my sister and I, maybe not me, I was getting older at that time. She stood her ground. All three ran. The one ran into her knee, barking with spit, got all over her knee. And she just stood there, and all of a sudden she heard the neighbor's wife call them, and they went running back. But a kid, for instance, running, pack mentality, those dogs would have killed her. They would have definitely attacked, and it's hard to stop a pack of dogs with that kind of aggression from stopping the attack. And if there's nobody around, no adults to stop it, it could have just gone on forever. So it was fortunate it was her, and that's when my dad had the final straw. And so that went on. Neighbors stopped talking. We avoided each other. Then his house gets robbed like a year or two later. And we get the call saying we've been accused that he got robbed. Well, we happen to be downstate. And my dad said, well, it wasn't us. We're downstate right now. And we can prove it. We were at a hotel. And when we get back, we had been robbed too. And guess who robbed both of us? His son. Which he has a boy and girl twin. Oh, kind of like Star Wars. I was friends with the daughter. I went to high school with her. She would come over and ride horses with me. I mean, I'd been in their house. I became friends with her, and fortunately, we didn't. And her and their daughter would come in our house. We didn't let the problems with those two. They didn't let that affect us as kids. So that was nice. Um, and the son was very different than the daughter. She was a big straight A student, very successful. She is still now. The son was more of a smoking marijuana, misbehaving, well, robbing his own parents and us type of guy. I think he's cleaned his act up, but in any case, neither kid are ever around. Once they turned a certain age, split. The son stuck around for a while until he was asked to leave, basically. Hi, Anakin. Um, and then our neighbor that has the 40 acres, mind you, we have a 1 mile long private road. The driveway to our house is very steep and just ridiculous. And you have to, so everybody was responsible for maintaining their own driveway, and you can't plow it. You got to use a snowblower on a Kubota. Hi, Anakin. So he did his own, when this jerk neighbor showed up, he had to do his own road, and he had a tractor with a snowblower on the front. But then when all of us started moving in with tractors, he just stopped doing it. And we came up with a way with like a home, it was kind of a casual homeowners association, road association. Now it's not casual, it's mandatory, and you have to pay it. He's refused to, he only does his own driveway, and when he does it, he plows. So after we've gone and done the road, he plows through it so that there's two grooves in the road that you have to go bump over. And he won't contribute. I've did that road for so many years, and I've done. Yeah, but you didn't contribute. That we didn't benefit from you doing that road. Nobody else lived here, just you. And our neighbor asked him repeatedly, with the 40 acres, to not do that with the snowplow. And he did it one night after our neighbor had a few scotches. So our neighbor, my dad got home when he was doing it. He goes, "What are you doing?" And he was real grouchy. He was putting the snow back. There was a mountain in front of the jerk neighbor's driveway because our 40 acres neighbor had had enough and decided to bury him. So when he came up in the morning, he couldn't get out. And unfortunately, the jerk neighbor heard the sound of the tractor, came up, had a fit, and said if he didn't put it all back, he'd call on him. So he had to put it back. Uh, so that was just the first couple years of us here. Things settled down. Eventually, my dad and him worked out a friendship, so to speak. And one time we ended up helping save some baby ducks. Well, my mom and I kind of forced my dad to go out and do it on Father's Day because we heard them yelling, screaming, and these bald eagles were trying to take the baby ducks. And so we had to, both of us all go out on canoes to escort the baby ducks across the lake with their mom, stuff like that. And then we rented some acres from him so that we could expand our fence and let our pasture mature while we let them eat on his pasture and just put up T-posts. And that was about 10 years ago. And again, so we kept these. Even when I got my act together, the wife gave me a book that, The Purpose Driven Life, that was very helpful. I liked it a lot. So things stayed pretty. And he gave my dad permission, because we're right at the edge of his property, to put a couple things on his property, because he even had some stuff that cut into our property. At one point, he had a big hole back at the end by the end of the pasture that had. We finally asked him to fill it in because we were afraid a snowmobiler was going to crash into it. I'm sure I have some of these details off as far as that situation goes. But we've had our logs, trees will get stacked there, but they end up disappearing because it gets cut for firewood, and firewood goes into the house. So, the next thing you know, they decide to take down our pasture. We weren't even using it. They planted all these little pine trees a couple years ago. And yet they've still not paid or helped. And when he did the road, he maintained it with the snow in the winter. We've added gravel. I'm sorry, my family and the Road Association have added gravel and brined it every year. It's expensive. One of the two tractors, my dad's got a Kubota, and the one neighbor has an identical Kubota, which Anakin, what is happening here? Hydraulic lines went, so that was $7,000 to fix this summer, and that's the main snow blowing tractor. And that's the way that neighbor contributes to the homeowners or the road fees, by donating his tractor. And my dad does most of the snowblowing. And so everybody had to cough up, it's like $70 a month, their normal fees, and then contribute to fixing the tractor. The neighbor didn't do any of that. Well, all of a sudden, he's apparently decided in the next 2 years he's going to sell his house. We've been hearing that for 10 years, by the way. What does this say? And he discovered that actually his property line goes a little closer to us than he realized, and right up to this easement. And he's going to fence the whole thing in, and we're just going to have to deal with it. And we've used this turnaround. When I back out of my garage, I go into the turnaround and then turning and leave the road. He's cutting the turnaround off. We will have to use the other side of it, and that means every truck, every garbage man, every delivery person, instead of coming to our place, the dead end of the road, and go around the circle and leave, they have to stop, back up to his driveway, because that's the next place to back up. They can't back up in my parents' driveway. And my dad tried to reason with him and said, listen, I don't care if you put the fence right up to the edge of the driveway. At least let the driveway stay. You don't need it, and you're not selling the house right now. What the jerk neighbor doesn't know is the Road Association had enough. He has to have been tipped off, because this all was a bit too coincidental, the timing of him doing this crap, especially after so much, just not a lot going on. His wife did have a meltdown when some neighbors helped my dad before his hip surgery cut some trees on the edge of the property. But again, the jerk neighbor gave my dad permission to have the wood stack there. We were getting it off of their land. She sat marching back and forth the whole time, like with their German. They have a new German Shepherd. Actually, it's their third one since the other three are gone. Oh yeah, and the three German Shepherds he had when we originally moved here, one of them died, and he accused us of poisoning it. I mean, it's just so stupid. In any case, the Road Association has put a lien on his house until he pays backed up for a year of road payments, plus interest, cumulative. He's refused the letter being sent to him. He's refused to go pick up the one at the post office. Um, and that's all you can do. They've tried. So now my mom says she's going to be the one to tell him. By the way, you have a lien on your house. He doesn't know that. He figures it's just a bill, I think. But I don't know. Maybe he's been tipped off. But we thought all of a sudden he shows up with this is my land, and I thought, well, winter's coming. He'll never get to it. The next day, that effing a-hole has put T-posts up and fenced in just the road. He didn't do any of the rest of his 10 acres. He did just the part that inconveniences all of us, mainly my family and me. Talk about a big douchebag. I sat there and my dad tried to reason with the wife, and she's like, "You guys have been annoying since you moved here." He goes, "Really? You're annoying all the time." And and I said, "What do you mean we've been annoying?" She goes, "Your horses are annoying." I go, "Really? Our horses are annoying? They don't even go when we ride by her house." Anakin, come here. And I said, "Your daughter used to ride with me. She used to talk about how you guys thought about getting horses, but you just never did. Don't give me the horses are annoying. We're so far away from them, they can't even hear them." And again, when we ride the road, not even close to their house. You can't ride down to their house. And not to mention the fact that we generally don't even ride the road. We ride in the woods. On the guy with the 40 acres, we go to his direction. He's given us permission to ride on his back parts of his property to cut over to some trails, which that's another thing is, oh yeah, my cat's shown up here. I think last time I was on, I talked about how he's got diabetes, which he's responding very well to treatment. Um, we haven't even been able to ride this year, too, because my one horse has been injured, and now the second one. So that's the latest and greatest with that. Um, and I had to bite my. I said, and they're very godly. They sell these laughing Jesus T-shirts and greeting cards. And I said, really? So much for love thy neighbor. I mean, it's just so hypocritical. I hate when people talk about or act like they're so spiritual and this and that, and then they'll do stuff like this. This is so malicious, juvenile, and petty. So, watching them as I grew up, it made me realize that adults don't ever grow up, because my mom now, in retaliation, has made a sign next to we have a sign that says there are dogs around, which when they first were building their house, there might have been a dog. We keep them in a fenced-in yard and everything. But in case they were out going to the bathroom, because they had to live in a motorhome at one point, and my mom didn't want them being hit. But our dogs are very nice, the ones we have. We have a German Shepherd, a Chihuahua, a really, really obnoxious husky something mix, and occasionally my sister's pit bull. And technically the Chihuahua is mine. So she's putting a sign next to it that says to the truckers, "Please back up to the driveway behind you in order to turn around, because our petty neighbor has decided to fence off the road and make sure you back up into his driveway." Something like that. I said, and he hates when people back up. That's why he's who put the turnaround in. The annoying jerk neighbor. He put it in. Put it in. Probably thinking, it's not my property, but I'll put this in to be nice, because he didn't want people going in his driveway and turning around. So the guy that put it in is now closing off the little section just to be a jerk. So that's what we've dealt with this week. He's an a-hole. Yeah, it is a pretty big coincidence that he's getting this letter and now he's decided to go after this way. And every part of me wanted to blast through it with my truck, but I didn't want to damage my truck. And fighting it, that's another thing. That's why Mom got the sign. It's like $175 just to get the paperwork and file it, and then about $1,000 to take it for fees and everything. So unless I can find someone pro bono, because my parents have they're spent with cash. So fighting this guy, I said, I can't let him win. I got to find a campaign of some way to stop this. Because it is very inconvenient. Instead of me backing up, now I have to back way, way, way up back to my parents' place and then turn around. Because I can't just back up. The only way I could back up easily is if I just turned and backed up and went the way that the fence is now. I can't turn and back up because I'll hit the fence. And if I go the other way, I'm basically Austin Powers. You have to do an Austin Powers maneuver where I'm like, in the way Austin Powers, he turns around in a golf cart in a very narrow hallway. And I drive a Suburban. So, like, and I'm great at backing up. That's not the issue. It's just that it pisses me off, okay? So, I've just been going through the grass. It's his grass, apparently. And I guess I'm going to destroy it. I'm being very mature about this. But when winter hits, that'll be filled with snow because that's where the snowblower piles a bunch of snow. It's just baffling to me. I just can't, in my like greatest imagination, imagine being this way towards somebody. I really can't. I've had enemies. I don't even want to say the word enemies. People I don't like. And when I've thought about doing something kind of bratty, I stop myself because I start feeling bad. Or when I have actually done something like, like a girlfriend told me something and then I really was pissed at her, and so I went and repeated it even though I wasn't supposed to. I felt so bad I went and told her that I did it. I just don't, especially since when I got sober, AA. Oh, I'm not supposed to talk about AA on here. The recovery program I used teaches you to make sure you apologize for anything you do immediately so that you don't have anything out there floating in the air. You want to keep your energy good. So, anyway, yeah. Uh, I just don't understand being like that towards people. It's very upsetting. So, right. I'm going to wrap this up here because I think I've gotten this. That's part of why I did my thing. I don't really have time to do this tonight. I need to work. Yeah, Chihuahuas are great. Gizmo, he looks like Gizmo from the movie Gremlins. His coloration, at least. He's not a long hair. They are great, but they are little assholes. Oh my god, I swore. Sorry, they're little a-holes. He's a great dog. He's very sweet and cute, but he's bit my dad like 4 times. Until now he's better with him, but when we first got him, he was real nippy. He's even tried to bite my mom and my sister when they touch his food. He's never tried to bite me. But I'm the one that found him and rescued him. So I'm going to try and come on tomorrow. And I'm going to this week, I can't promise anything. I am trying to get healthy again. I've been sick. I'm going to try and definitely by December 1st get this thing on a regular schedule. I keep saying that. Oh, I didn't mean to type that. Just ignore the word I wrote. Okay. Multitasking's not my strong suit right now. Oh, my cat's not even sitting here, and I'm sitting on the edge of the chair. Yeah, so I'm gonna go and work now for the next couple hours, and then eat dinner, and then might maybe take a nap, and then I have to get up and finish coloring my hair because you can still see it actually in person doesn't look dark like this, but on camera it does. My roots are pretty close to my color, but it is a little darker. And I gotta touch up my hair today, finish it because it takes 2 rounds to get it this color, not just one. This blonde, and I mean, look at my eyebrows. That's my hair color. Yeah, maybe not that dark. My eyebrows have some filler stuff in. Actually, my eyebrows are blonde. My hair, though, is a little bit lighter than this. And my eyelashes are blonde, too. Thank you for coming to see me again. I hope I can get some more regulars. I am going to wrap this up. And I'll try and be on. Well, I will be on tomorrow night. And I'm going to try and get this week a schedule going. I'll post something on my page. I think I can do that. Oh, happy Thanksgiving for those you. To another one here. Anyone that watched this, happy Thanksgiving. I'll be on before Thanksgiving, but I just thought I'd still say it. Happy, I don't say the happy holidays. When it's Christmas, I say Merry Christmas. When Thanksgiving, I say the Happy Thanksgiving. I'm rambling. Have a good night. Thank you very much.